Welcome back to Keeping It Real Estate. If you listen to the internet or news, you probably believe home ownership is unattainable. But we're here to tell you today that it's not the case.
Sure isn't. It isn't. So, what are you seeing on the internet that makes you think that it is unattainable?
The biggest thing it seems to scare people is the interest rate. So that seems to be a real big topic that people talk about today.
I don't see a lot on the news or even social media about people not wanting to buy houses, but you do hear a lot about the inflation issues
Yeah.
and things that are affecting everybody's finances right now. And interest rate is one that I've heard a lot in the last couple of years from buyers, just that they're waiting for the interest rate to go back down.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, but like contrary to popular belief, like it's been worse in the past. So
It has. So we've got a chart that we want to share because it's something I end up telling buyers all the time. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. I really like that. So I really like to work with first-time home buyers. And when I'm talking with a first-time home buyer, I ask them if they've got any reservations, anything that is maybe concerning them or maybe making them slow to make an offer or start their search. And when they bring up the interest rate, I want to share the following with them, that the interest rate was really abnormally low here in the last 10 years compared to history. And so we're not guaranteed that it's going to go back down to 3%.
right, yeah, definitely no guarantees.
So let's pull up the chart and let's get the right chart here and look at interest rates over time. So here we've got the fixed rate mortgage average in the United States, and this is over 30 years of time. If you look back from way back when I was a little bitty baby in the early 70s, the mortgage rate there was right around 7.5. And then unreal. Look at that in the 80s. Early 80s went up to 17 and a half or higher.
Yikes.
I had my grandma tell me that she bought a house one time at 18%.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So 7.5, where early 70s, in the early 80s, it got up to 18%, and then it came down from there. And it took years and years to get down to the 5%
Yeah.
interest rate right there, early 2000s, right?
Yep.
And so in the last 25 years, we're looking at anywhere from 5% down to the 3. It did go to 2.5 if you had really good credit, right around 21 and 22. And then it bounced back up. So I like to show this to people because I want them to see that that low period of about maybe 15 years was not the norm here in 50 years time. And we may not get back to that low again, and we may, but where we're sitting right now at upper 6% is actually a very good rate when you're looking back through history.
Yeah, I think like this shows me like we just been spoiled for like a really long time, and then now we're just gonna have to adjust. Like this is not bad.
No, I mean this is still a good interest rate, and the bottom line to me is what can you afford? Not just what kind of payment you could afford, but do your budget. What do you like to do? Do you want to be house poor? Is home ownership that big of a goal for you, and where you're willing to make some lifestyle changes? Or if you're not willing to make lifestyle changes, are you willing to settle for maybe less of a home,
Yeah.
get a smaller loan, you know?
Yeah, because like if you blow your whole budget on a house, you better get ready to have one with like a bowling alley or a movie theater because you ain't going out to the movies or
Yeah.
going bowling.
It just need your Netflix.
Yeah.
So when I bought a house, our first house, and we've had 5 houses. Now, I've moved way more than that, but when it came to buying a house, our first house was very affordable, and it was about 900 square feet. It had 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and 1 bath. And I mean, it was like a little bungalow style house. I grew up in a house that was probably around 1,900 square feet, 2,000. So that felt really cramped to me. And I was thinking that, we were going to maybe start a family soon or whatever. And so we only had that house for a little over a year and then looked at getting something a little bigger in a different neighborhood, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. We jumped up on the price there, but my mortgage payment was $725 on our second house.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the first one was $490, so kind of tells you the difference.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of similar to my first house. Our first house was like 1,400 square foot. It was a smaller 2-story house. Was $90,000. So I think that's about what the payment was.
So, how old were you when you bought your first house?
I was older. I think I was 26, 27 maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And when did you get married?
The same year I bought the house, so 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got married at 24, but 10 days later I was 25. And my fiance decided to buy a house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we got
Surprise.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why we kind of switched that. But so we were homeowners at 25, I'll say. And so, even that's something that has changed. So now the average age for people buying houses has changed, but also the average age for people getting married has changed.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have gotten pushed back to like later in life. People are staying in school a little longer, so they want to wait till they get out of school to get married.
Yeah. So I've got, let me pull this up. So the average age of marrying, let me do this so it shows up, compared to 2008 to 22. I mean, that's in 14 years, went from the average age for a male was 28, and then it went to 30.
Yeah, 30 and a half.
And then for a female, the average age in 2008 was 26, and it went to 28 and a half. When I looked back later than that, in the 90s, the average age to get married was 22 and 24
Yeah,
for male and female.
yeah. My grandmother, I think she told me she got married when she was like 13 or 14.
Okay, well, that's really young.
Yeah, it was like a different time though. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, so, if the average age of marriage has changed, look at that.
Oh yeah.
From 1900s, can you see this?
Yeah,
This
I
is
can,
crazy.
Yeah.
Let me pull this up. This is kind of fun. No, it's not funny. All right, so, geez. Men's average age in the early 1900s was 26, and women were 22.
Okay.
Not too bad, nothing weird there.
Yeah.
What the heck happened in the 40s, 50s, and 60s?
I think times were hard, and it forced people to grow up a lot quicker.
I would think things were hard in the 1900s too, but
Yeah.
we did have the Great Depression there
Right,
in this
yeah.
zone here. I don't know. That's crazy to me. And of course, they don't have anything younger than 22, but we got to assume based on the spacing here that hopefully that is around 20 years here, 20 years old here maybe.
Yeah, maybe the recording wasn't that good back then.
Yeah. So if people are waiting to get married longer now, that might affect also the age of home buying.
Yeah, I think
Right?
it does. Yeah.
So we've got, what do we have here? The median age of first-time home buyers. And let me make that a little bigger. Okay, so here we see what? Back to 1992. So when I'm graduating high school,
Okay. It is 32.
yeah, well, or 28. Look at the
Oh, yeah.
difference
Okay.
here. I mean, look at the difference between if that's 91 or whatever it
Yeah.
is to somewhere around 94. Huge jump, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And so then we just kind of rock on, and it's like right, probably an average there of 32 for 15 years,
Yep.
dips down to about 30 for a few years. Why do you think that is? Look at that year,
Oh,
2008.
that was '08. That was the financial housing crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
house prices dropped, and I guess people were like, I can afford something now.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe young investors were more brave to do it. A lot of people
Right.
did do some investment purchases there for property. And then it just slowly, I mean, it going up a year doesn't seem like anything, does it?
No, no.
Right along, rocks right along. We'll just say 31, 32, all the way to 2020. And then boom, somewhere around 2023,
Yep. I think.
end of pandemic,
Yep.
people go, whoa, we're going to wait.
Yeah. Uncertain times. Supply chain shortages. Lumber was really high back then, and it's come down some.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. So unsure times and also people maybe reevaluating what's most important.
right. Yeah.
Like, people stayed in a lot at that time. They got comfortable being at home or wherever they're at.
Right.
Comfortable is really a good descriptor for what happened during the pandemic. I mean, it was a crisis and it was scary. But once we all stayed home and kind of separated, a lot of people got comfortable being at home. And a lot of people didn't go back to working in an office.
Yeah, and you still see it. Like we're still, having trouble. Like everybody hadn't returned to work.
Yeah, I think that people are trying to get back into office settings, but there's a lot that can be done just with a phone and a computer from anywhere.
Yeah, I think we figured that out. Like we're like, like I really don't have to go to the office. Like I can save a little gas and I'll just zoom in today.
So we know that COVID era rates changed expectations. So when we looked back at the 30-year mortgage, right?
Yep.
Everything went really low on the interest rates
Mm-hmm.
there during COVID. And then it crawled back up. And of course, the government was trying to do some stimulus, right?
Yep. Trying to stimulate the economy.
Yeah. So let's think about other things. So if the average home buyer age is going up, why do you think that is?
I think people are staying in school longer, so they're gonna wait till they get out of school, to buy the house. They're probably gonna wait to get out of school before they get married. They're probably having a hard time, with the prices of everything, and then they're getting scared. They're getting scared, from like the stuff they see on social media, the news, and hearing like high interest rates. They're probably like I'm barely getting by now. Like how am I going to afford this? So
Yeah. Well, for 2 years, trying to convince new buyers that the interest rate really is a good rate.
right,
It is not a very high interest rate when it was at 6.7, 6.8. My first mortgage rate was 7.4,
okay,
and that was in 95. And as we saw on the chart, there were way higher rates than that. But the interest rate may be still, you can put that message out there that it's not a bad interest rate. But we have other things affecting what we're spending money on.
Right.
I just drove 4 hours the other day and went through 3/4 of a tank, $4 a gallon,
oh yeah,
and $80 again to fill up my tank. It felt like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was spending $300 on gas every 2 weeks. So people have other expenses. Fuel prices have gone up because of the conflict with the U.S. and Iran. And then that on top of the unreal expectation of young first-time buyers thinking that our interest rates are high, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so it's our job to tell them that the interest rates aren't bad. It still may not be the time for you to buy. Everybody knows their own budget, and you really need to look at what you're comfortable spending and on what. But if you're putting money toward rent and you're not liking it, there's probably a house out there that you can afford. It just may not be your dream home.
Right. And I think that's something like people kind of like want to skip now. Like, used to, you'd like say, like, my first home was like $90,000. Like, now it's like people, they want it all now.
Yeah.
They're like, because I always try to tell them, I'm like, look, like maybe we can buy this one, and we can add that extra room later. And they're like, no, I want it now, Kevin. And I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can do.
Well, when I think about some of the young people here that have lofty home ownership goals,
Yeah.
I think that it can be it can be way more than several factors. But a few things are that when kids are going away to college, the house that they're leaving, their parents are in their mid-40s
Right.
to maybe 50 years old.
Yep.
That's probably their second or third house that they've owned. They have upsized, and they probably haven't lived there but 10 years. But you don't remember maybe what your parents' house or your house looked like when you're 3, 4, 5, 6, as much as you do when you're a teenager. And so I think they're seeing their parents' house as, this is what I expect to have too.
Yep. So, first thing, it's bad to compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
And people see social media, and keep in mind, those are just the highlights. Like they don't see that person may have worked 2 jobs to go on that vacation and buy their dream home.
Yeah.
So,
Or living on unhealthy credit.
You're on your own journey, and you're in a different place in the journey. Your parents is farther along in their journey, like you said.
Yeah.
They may have had like several smaller homes before they got the big mega mansion they're in now.
Yeah, yeah. And as your parents get older, hopefully their salaries are getting larger.
Right.
And so they've worked their way up maybe to the house level that you liked and you knew as a teenager and as a college student, but you may not recall the steps it took for them to work their way up.
Right. Yeah. They didn't see all the late night. Mom worked in the office, to get where she's at.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and you do, you have memories when you're 3 or 4. You don't necessarily remember the house,
Yeah.
that you grew up in. So I think sometimes we compare ourselves to our parents' place and want what they worked really hard to get later on in their life or midlife. And then I also kind of blame college. Some of those college dorm rooms are nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the apartments?
Mine wasn't, but mine looked like a prison.
Well,
It had like brick block walls.
yeah,
and,
mine was old too.
yeah.
But when I took my daughter to the university, she was in one of the newer dorms. And it had almost like granite bathroom counter.
Yeah.
And and it wasn't like fancy, but I just thought, this is not what my dorm looked like.
Right.
And it just totally different. Mine looked more institutional and hers looked a little bougie to me. And I thought, wow. And then they have all the setup. Like they all have to have these raised beds and these fancy rooms that they're, almost like interior decorating your dorm room.
Really? Did they have like did their room have like their own like bathroom and shower?
So she had a suite where there were two bedrooms. Two
Yeah.
people shared one bedroom, two people shared the other, and then they had a little sitting area and also a full bathroom. So four people shared one bathroom.
Yeah, see that my wife, she went to UCA and that's how her dorm room was. But I'm an old community college guy, so anyway, mine it had like the whole floor shared like one bathroom and shower.
Yeah.
It was like very intimidating when I first moved in there.
I think
Uh,
20 rooms shared our big bathroom, and there were four shower stalls all next to each
yep.
other with the curtains,
That's
you know,
how this was.
curtains
Yeah.
with hooks,
Yep.
if they weren't torn. And then there were four toilets, and I think there was actually extra sinks.
Yeah.
But I mean, you literally were showering next to people,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was a experience.
It was crazy.
It was a aroma experience.
I remember like I was like I wasn't there like the first day or two and I was like, okay, well, I guess it's time for the shower. Had my
Yeah.
little flip flops on and was
Ugh,
marching down the hall.
gross.
I was like, here we go.
Yeah. No,
So
my kids have had it better than mine. Every
yeah.
one of them has had it better than I did for their school setting. And then, like, when they are forced to move off campus, like, a lot of campuses don't have enough dorm space. And
Right,
so they're,
right.
like, partnering with apartments, and new apartments are being built all the time up in Fayetteville and around other campuses. And those apartments, same thing.
Mm,
LVT floors, granite countertops, really nice. I mean, my daughter had her own bathroom in her room,
yeah.
and I'm like, wow. Like windows that were floor to ceiling,
They got it too good.
and I'm like,
That's why
that's
they never
crazy.
that's why they never want to leave college.
But I'll tell you what. So we paid $900 for her part of the room,
Yeah.
and so her other roommates paid $900 too. So when she had two, herself and a roommate, that was $1,800
Yeah.
rent. When they had three people there, I mean, my goodness, 2,700. You know, you can get a nice house for that,
You can, yeah.
but you can't expect granite and all these LVTs maybe for $900 a month.
Right, yeah.
And so, you know, I do think that might have part of the unreal expectations.
Yeah, and a lot of people they don't realize they get their pre-approval there and they're like, oh yeah, I got pre-approved for 300,000. It's like, okay, you might ought to have a conversation with your lender, like what an estimate on that payment's going to look like. You know what I'm saying? Because just because they pre-approved you, like you
Yeah.
may not want to spend all that.
Yeah, when you get the idea of this is all it's going to cost, but you have insurance,
Right.
and you have taxes, you have utilities,
Yep.
upkeep, something's going to break.
Not always, but typically they'll want to roll those in there. So, and you can request it if they don't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so lots of things that affect the average age of buyers now. Cost of living is a big deal. Let's switch on over to this interesting article we found. So, another thing that might affect people buying houses is just even the location,
yep.
where you live, where you work. Not all states have the same kind of economy, do they?
No, and there's some very beautiful states, and people are leaving, and they just can no longer afford the cost of living there.
Yeah, we all know that during COVID, a lot of people wanted to live big cities.
Yep.
So they saw that in New York and also in Chicago, probably everywhere, but those were, you know, there was a big percentage of people leaving cities. California,
Yep.
I mean, where's the new California?
It is Austin, Texas, I
It
believe.
is, it's crazy, isn't it? So, yeah, people have gone from leaving beautiful California to going to the great state of Texas because it's more affordable.
Right.
Now, people in Austin would tell you Austin's not affordable anymore.
Yeah, it kind of caused a little spike in price there for them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So the more people that move to a place, that cost of living does it changes. It gets affected. With scarcity of housing and things like that, prices go up. So you found a really good article that I really liked because it went over cost of living from U.S. News.
Yeah, look
You
who.
got that pulled up?
Yeah, look who's number one there.
Look at that! Out of the
Yeah,
50 states,
yeah,
number one in cost of living was Arkansas.
yeah. I never thought we'd be number one in anything.
We're number one,
Yeah.
yeah. So Arkansas is still has home prices that are more affordable, and rents that are more affordable, in line with what they're making for maybe their salaries or whatever their wages, and it is a good state to move to if you would like to get a decent house at affordable rate. And our pay is not necessarily what you might be expecting if you come from a bigger metropolis or from a state up north and then come down here. Our pay rates are lower here, but you can get a good house and a good piece of land at a reasonable price here, can't you?
Yep. It's it all. You got to look at the whole picture. Like your pay may not be as high, but that house isn't going to cost as much, and the fuel prices are lower typically. So.
Yeah, we're a very rural state, and it's a beautiful state.
Oh yeah,
It is
sure.
a beautiful state. So, we like at our house our outdoor living,
Yep.
and that's just a couple chairs on this side of the yard and a couple chairs over there. But we really like living in a rural setting where we can see the sunset every evening, or as storms roll across the prairie, we get to see them coming our way, and it's just really pretty.
Yeah.
That's what we enjoy. And in Arkansas, almost all the towns are in rural areas, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Even some of our big cities are really kind of rural for the
Yeah,
most
within
part.
10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always so weird to me.
Yeah.
When I first moved from Northwest Arkansas down to Little Rock, and someone said, "Oh, I hate driving in Little Rock."
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's really only one major highway through the city of Little Rock, and
Yeah,
it goes around the city, but I'm thinking 6:30 through.
Yep.
And I'm like, you can get from one end to the other in 9 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if traffic's bad, like 15, 20 minutes, you can be anywhere in Little
Yeah,
Rock.
yeah. So it's not. We don't have real traffic issues in Little Rock. And what really amazed me is you leave downtown Little Rock and you drive almost any direction for 15 minutes, and you can be in the country.
I know, you'll see like a guy on his tractor farming, and then you can see like a skyscraper in the
from
distance.
outside,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's like,
So and I think I like that about Arkansas.
yeah.
That you have a lot of distance between our few big cities,
Right.
And those smaller cities are growing.
They are, yeah.
They are growing, and then those rural suburbs. Houses are being developed there, and communities are being developed there, but there's still a lot of country in Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah, and things will change. There's so much space and land, so I'm sure it'll get built on eventually, but for now I like it how it is. I like to go in the city and visit, but I like to get back to the country too,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the nature, and it just seems like that's just good for the soul. So
And you're 30 minutes from Little Rock, right?
yeah.
And for me, it's an hour, which is no big deal. to me.
Still not bad. Like you're moving. Like my in-laws, they used to live in San Antonio, and we were hanging out with them, and it'd take an hour to get anywhere. It wasn't that far, in miles, but it's just you just sit in traffic. It's just
Yeah.
ugh.
So that's the benefit of living in Arkansas. We are number one in cost of living.
That's great.
So why don't you come join us, but not too many of you. So we know that Arkansas is an affordable state to live in, but U.S. News also reports about relocation map. So the South is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
What's it show on that?
It shows the most sought after states. Number one is South Carolina. Number two is Idaho. Number three is Alaska. Got North Carolina, Maine, Tennessee, Delaware, South Dakota, Alabama, and look who snuck in, Arkansas.
Arkansas, number 10. So the Carolinas, people, they're pretty states.
They really are, yeah.
And, where I grew up in Western New York, we like to go to Florida for our vacations.
Yeah.
Like, I think the entire Western New York or most of New York goes to Florida for vacations. Also, that's where most of them end up retiring.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
So
it's like a running joke.
after a while, and Florida is still a big state that a lot of people want to move to, but I think that people were kind of like, maybe not Florida. Look somewhere in the middle, and the Carolinas were it.
Yep.
They're beautiful. They're near the ocean. They've got really good climate. They still have 4 seasons, but they're not as cold as it is up north, and it's not. They don't get as many hurricanes as Florida.
Yeah, that's the hurricanes. That's like, I love Florida. It's beautiful, but I'm just like, I would never buy anything down here just because of the hurricanes.
Yeah, it's a lot of. Yeah, we've personally had issues with the hurricanes with my parents' condo there, and had to end up having to sell it. And a lot of people have had to sell in Florida here over the years. It's just getting so expensive. Everything's expensive in the U.S. right now with our economy and inflation. But Florida, with the insurance, alone, if you own a home, your insurance rates went through the roof after these, in the last 8 years, 2 hurricanes coming through.
Right, yeah.
More than that, but 2 big damaging hurricanes. Number 2 is Idaho. Have you ever been to Idaho?
No, but I used to work with a girl from there.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had fun with that.
Well, Idaho is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I've been to Idaho, I think, 3 times, definitely 2 times. Whitewater rafting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's got flat land, and then it's got the mountains, and just beautiful, beautiful.
It's such a unique shaped state too. Like, it's like really tall and pointy.
Okay, so Idaho. I'm not sure why so many people would be moving to Idaho, but it's beautiful, and if you're at the top of this list, there must be job opportunity.
Must be.
And so, and it must have been affordable, or seemingly affordable, to be able to move and buy a house, get a job, rent, whatever you're doing. I can't even believe number 3 is Alaska.
I can't either. Like, they'll dang near pay you to live there. They have some programs.
That's just, I'm not understanding that, but
maybe it's like the benefits. Like, I think there are some programs, like they want people to live there. So maybe that. And then there's also like a lot of oil refineries and, pipeline welders and stuff, maybe.
yeah. Well, a lot of these on this top 10 are from the South, and that's what we were talking about. It's just nice to not have blizzards.
It is, yeah.
And when you grew up in the snow belt or up north, where they have had some crazy winters here in recent years, you get tired of it.
I know, like, we had a pretty good, like, snow here last year, and I was like, okay, after, like, 2 or 3 days of it, I'm like, I'm ready for it to go away. Like,
Yeah.
I'm tired of this. Like,
I loved it. I loved it. But when we, lived up where Western New York, we had Erie Canal to our west,
Yep.
and, Lake Ontario directly north of us. We would get hammered with snow. And so you had to factor in getting your car windows and everything defrosted enough to be able to drive to work.
Right.
Like, there's more to do in the winter when you live up north than just run out the house, get in the car, and go.
When it's cold, nothing works, including your car. Like stuff freezes up. Like there's like a lot of prep work.
Yeah.
Like you
Or
gotta,
just slower, commute to because of road conditions, things
right.
like that. So I like that. Pretty much all year long, I know I can just run out, jump into my car, and even if it's raining, not
Right.
much is going to slow me down on my commute time.
It makes my like body hurt. Like the cold. Like, the older I get, the less I can take it. I'm just like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But I used to like it.
Well, it is a very common thing for people up north to retire down south.
Right,
And
yeah.
so I'm not surprised to see that the 6 most sought after states are down in the south. And those are South Carolina, and then we have Tennessee,
Yeah, I
South
know.
Dakota,
I know.
Alabama, Arkansas. And it's always weird to me to think that North Carolina is considered a southern state.
I know, yeah.
It says north,
I know, yeah.
but it is.
Yeah. The one that always gets me is Virginia. I can't believe that one's considered
It
southern.
is very strange to me, too.
I went to Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was surprised.
It doesn't
Like,
act very southern, does it? You got to remember that a big part of that state is in the mountains too,
yeah.
and it's just I don't know. I've always thought it was a little strange that it was considered southern as well.
They had a lot of southern pride, and there
I
was,
think it's because of 100 years ago.
yeah, I think so
or
too.
more,
Yeah, there was like flags along the interstate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but the South is nice to live in. The North is nice to live in. It's all there's opportunity up north that a lot more income maybe possibilities up there, but
Yeah.
there's trade-offs for sure.
There's
So
the taxes and then a higher cost of living.
higher cost of living. There may be more job opportunity, but after a while, you might get a little tired of the hustle and need to join us down south.
Got a little hack maybe for people. Maybe you keep your job in New York and you see if you can work remotely. Then you move to Florida and then you still keep the same pay rate.
Yeah.
And then you live like a king.
I don't know. Some employers have a
Yeah.
distance
Yeah.
that you're required because you may still have to come into meetings or be
True.
called in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of jobs where you could do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So, so real interesting. So the age of people buying houses has gone up. The interest rate has gone up compared to what it was 10 years ago and 5 years ago, but it's still not a bad rate. People are waiting longer to get married.
Yep.
People are waiting longer to buy a house. And I don't think that's a terrible thing.
No, I don't think so. I think my grandparents, I think they were growing up a little too fast, maybe. They were going to fighting wars when they were 14 years old and getting
Yeah.
married and working on the farm. But I think, in life, balance is important, so.
Yeah, I think today younger people, and I only know my younger people, but younger
Yeah.
people are taking the time to figure out what they really want to do.
Right.
They might get a degree, or they may leave high school and just go out into the workforce and just give themselves time
Mm-hmm.
to figure out really what they want to do, what's going to make them happy. Maybe to have some different experiences before they settle down to a big payment or a commitment. And so I'm glad that people are being more thoughtful
Yeah.
about what their decisions are.
Me too.
But for those who are really wanting home ownership, it's still a good opportunity. And you can make a plan. You can get some help with a realtor. We always point people in the direction of talking to a lender to see what they could afford now. Let's go see what that looks like. You don't like it, so maybe you need to wait a little longer.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it makes sense to rent.
Yeah,
So
it does. It does. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, we are still just living the life of real estate, aren't we?
We are. Yeah.
Things are a little slower, but not for us. You
No.
know, when the economy is hard, you just work harder. And there are still people who need to move. There are people relocating, people downsizing still, some families growing and needing to upsize. So people are always going to buy and sell real estate.
Yeah, you can always refinance your house, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So like if you have something that fits all your needs and checks all the boxes, maybe if it makes sense, go ahead and get that now and then you can refinance later.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So hopefully you will reach out to a trusted real estate agent or a realtor when you've got a move that you need to make or just need some advice on whether this is the time for you or not. And they should be able to steer you in the right direction. And for now, we're going to be keeping it real.
yep. And drop where you're watching from in the comments and let us know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, we're keeping it real estate.